Hey everyone, welcome back to Empire Build Academy. This is the complete Evony troops guide for the game. This is part of the 9-step process where I do the beginner's guide, construction guide, research guide, troops guide, which is the one I'm doing now. Then I will do a heroes, defense, attack guide, events guide as I work through all the different events. And then finally finishing off with a frequently asked questions guide. These will all be on the empirebuildacademy.com website, which you can go and check out. And I will be doing this for all the different kinds of games that you can find in the mobile strategy genre. Okay, let's get straight into it now and go straight over to the game. Troops is a very easy one to just explain. There are certain types of troops that you use to attack, and in most games they are all pretty much similar, and Evony is no different. So we have 4 different ones. This one would be the mounted, this one would be the ranged, this one would be the ground or the barracks, and then finally this one down here is the siege. So let's just jump into these and have a look at how this works on Evony. So we will work with the barracks or ground, which is what this is also known as. And if we click on the information, your barrack allows you to train ground troops, upgrade your barracks to unlock new types of ground troops. Ground troops possess a battle advantage over ranged. So if you was wanting to attack someone that was ranged heavy in their keep, this is what you would send. You would send ground. Clicking into the more information, you will also see the different types of ground troops that you can unlock at the different levels. Berserkers are unlocked at 21, and then going down you can see there's some Ross soldiers at number 30, and continuing down there are also some additional buffs as you get into the serious stuff. You can see that I have barracks upgraded to level 38, which is also providing ground troop defense 5% and all those previous buffs and troop unlocks as well. The next ones that I would need to unlock would be at level 40, which would be the Imperial Vanguards, or T15, which is something else. You will also hear them called on the game. Go into train, and this is where you can see all the different troops. So you can see these are my tier 1 and also how many there is of the tier 1, and that would be the same all the way across. Continuing to go through, they've all got different names, but on Evony you will hear T1, T2, T3, T4. So that is something you should get used to calling them, and you can see it going all the way up. As I mentioned, I have T14 of the Winter Palace Guards unlocked, and I have a few troops there, and that's because I am a trap keep, so I'm keeping my numbers down at the top. Again, if you want to see what defeats what, then you can just look at these 2 icons here, and you can see ground troops counter ranged, increasing damage by 20%, and then you can also see ground troops are countered by mounted troops, receiving an additional damage of 20%. When you go into information, it will break down as well all the different powers, the defense, attack, HP, range, speed, and what load they carry when gathering and taking resources. So that is how it would work across all the 4 different troop types. So now if I went into ranged, this would be the same again. Ranged or archers are the 2 different ways that you can hear these being called. Click into train, and again, starting from the beginning, it would then give you the different tiers of troops and what you have in each one. Again, continuing all the way up until you've reached your maximum. And my maximum is again T14 for the Winter Palace Archers. In terms of me going to T15, it would take a long time, lots of coining and lots of resources to get there. And even once you've got there, T15 are very expensive to train. So that is for that. Mounted, the other thing to be aware of with mounted, or called cavalry, is that these are normally used to kill monsters. So the monsters on the world map, you will see other people setting rallies, etc., and 9 times out of 10 there is some exceptions to the rule. Pan is one that can have different troop types that are required to kill the different ones because they come with different sets as a monster. But again, going all the way up from T1, you can see I've got 434 million T1. That is because I am a T1 trap, so my meat wall is T1 mounted, so 434 million. You will find a lot of people have done this. Evony normally pushes you into a mounted defense, and I would say 98% of people, as a rough estimate, would be the people that have built all the T1. But it's not just T1, you also need T2, T3 as well. And some people have gone to the T4. Personally, I haven't. I'm still concentrating on building that T1 up And in an ideal world, at some stage I want to reach 1 billion. Again, we can have a look at what beats what. And when you go into the icons, you can see mounted troops counter ground troops that we've already seen. But more importantly, mounted troops are countered by ranged troops. So that means if someone was sending heavy ranged march at me, then of course this is going to be dangerous. And that's where all the different weapons and all that kind of stuff, when we do the heroes guide, I will talk a little bit more about that. But as this is just purely troops, what you will need to understand is ranged attacks are very common on the game, especially early doors. If you've started this game recently, within the last couple of months, you will find a high percentage of attacks sent at you, whether that's on server versus server or in your own kingdom. It's likely to be a ranged attack that's coming at you, and that is something to be aware of when defending. The last one that we need to talk about is Siege, which is down here that I showed you before. Clicking into Siege, clicking into Train, and then again having a look at these two icons that we did on the others, and we can see that it will say Siege machines counter each other, increasing the damage by 50% and vice versa. So Siege is countered by Siege. So if you had 200 million Siege and someone else sent Siege at you, it's going to be one of those that it all depend on who's got the best buffs, who's got the best general, who's got the best equipment attached in relation to this. Now again, I've gone from the T1, I've got small amounts of Siege. Eventually when I do transition to a defense keep, which is still some way off for me at the moment, you will probably find that I would need to build up some of these siege layers as well. And the reason being is because I've been on this particular server for around about a year or so now, and siege is a common attack strategy alongside ranged as well. The other thing to be aware of with the troops is they also come with the blazon, which is this one here. And the blazon is a complicated hard process. I have done a blazon video, so I won't go too deep into it here, but you can see that these blazons that I've got attached all come with additional buffs that are going to increase the potential of that particular troop. So the ground troop blazons will have some buffs that help the ground, but also you can see at the bottom there for the set, you'll also notice that it's also trying to debuff the enemy mounted troop attack and also enemy ranged troop defense. So there's a lot that goes on with the blazon. Like I said, that's a whole separate video. Don't want to talk too much about it in here, but just be aware on each of them, blazons are a thing. They are important and they definitely help the troops. It's the same with the generals and it's the same with the equipment as well. With the generals, you will have generals that are specific for a certain troop type. For argument's sake, a ranged general that the free-to-play could get at the moment is Marcus Agrippa from the Trial of Knights event. It would take you 11 different Trial of Knight events to get him fully ascended, but once he's fully ascended and he then comes with his own ranged equipment alongside the different blazons, etc., you can appreciate how quick it is to build up the buffs on the different ones. And that is another thing to be aware of. Although you build these troops, there is a lot of different areas, and this is probably one of the more complicated games for that, where the buffs come from for each of the individual troops. But to summarize, there are 4 different troop types. Ground barracks, that's one troop type. Ranged archers is another troop type. Mounted cavalry is another troop type, and then we finally finish off with the siege as well. Can be sometimes called tanks if I was going to find a different name for them as well. That is just a simple overview of the troops, what you get on here, how you can find what counteracts what, and what is important to those troop types. If you are watching this video and you notice something that I may have missed that may be important for this particular troop guide, please do mention it in the comments. It not only helps the people that are watching this video, but it also gives me the chance to improve and add this to the relevant blog posts that I will also add on empirebuildacademy.com. That is the end for this video. The next one will be about heroes, and I will see you in that Evony video very soon. Thanks for watching.